Damn, when Vader yelled out Obi-Wan, it shook my speakers. That's how loud it was. And it hit me right there because by knowing everything that I know about Star Wars, even Legends material, but now in canon, it's kind of getting apparent too, is that Anakin wants to die. Fundamentally, I think that is his mission till we come to A New Hope, and that's when Vader's mindset changes. This is why I always say in the original trilogy we see a completely different Darth Vader, someone that has understood his role within this empire, and someone that I think has overcome the pain of Padme, not completely, but just a little bit. I think the only movie we see a completely true Darth Vader is A New Hope, because by Empire Strikes Back, we know that he knows Luke Skywalker is his son. This is when Vader is completely derailed, of course, because he has spent years overcoming Padme, but that didn't last long, because immediately once he found out that Luke is his son now, he got all that pain back. He was reminded of Padme. This is the reason why he didn't kill Luke in Empire Strikes Back. He wanted to bring everybody to the fold, him, his son, rule the galaxy as father and son and stuff like that, because he proposed the same thing to his wife once upon a time, to Padme. He wanted to take control all by himself. Even back then, he was having delusions of grandeur. On Mustafar, he was speaking to Padme that they could rule together, basically. And that didn't happen. With Luke, it didn't happen. And ultimately, it leads to Return of the Jedi, where Vader knows that he is completely cornered. There is nowhere else to go. Luke knows this as well, and that's why he puts him in the position he puts him in. That, Father, either you're gonna die alone with this decrepit man that you call your master, or you're gonna save me. And at least, even if you die, you'll die with dignity. But let's go back to what I originally said. The first years of Darth Vader, I truly believe, and I have said this constantly throughout my years that I have read extensively on specifically Darth Vader, whether that be books, comics, and now these series showing us more and more, Vader wants to die by any means necessary. If that means rushing 10 Jedi at a time and battling, dueling them, he wants to see who could kill him. One of the more legendary Vader fights is the trap on Kessel, or the battle on Kessel, whatever you want to call it. 8 Jedi, if I'm not mistaken, lay a trap for Darth Vader by saying that Obi-Wan has been spotted on Kessel. Vader rushes in like a monster, and once he sees all these prominent Jedi that have survived and laid a trap only to kill Darth Vader, instead of retreating, Vader goes full ham, doesn't even care. They almost kill him, and he still is relentless, trying to go at them back. And at this point, you would think that Vader has a death wish. There are other Legends comics where Vader essentially tries to kill himself, dreaming about Padme constantly. But if we leave Legends aside, let's talk about canon. So in the 2017 canon comic series, Darth Vader constantly puts himself in danger without caring about the well-being of his life. He is near, if not close to death, and he still goes after his enemy. We essentially saw his death wish with Master Anfala and how that unfolded. Yes, Vader needed to prove himself as a Sith, but if he couldn't, he would die. So isn't that a win-win for Darth Vader? I see it as such, because if Darth Vader proves himself to Sidious, he is a worthy Sith and a worthy apprentice. But if he dies, is that really terrible for a person who is suffering constantly? There has been extensive talks about Darth Vader's crippling depression, and there is a reason for that. It all leads back to Padme and how everything unfolded. What does Anakin do the first thing he helps Palpatine kill Windu? He drops to his knees and says, "What have I done?" When he tries to bleed his crystal in issue number 5, he again reverts back to Anakin and says, "What have I done?" He cannot come to grips with this new reality. Not only has he betrayed everything he ever knew, but also this has led to the death of Padme. Vader is not dumb. Vader knows that all those premonitions that he had about Padme dying, it was because of him. because if Vader hadn't gone through this journey and led to Padme's death, if Anakin would have been just patient and waited for the Jedi Council to appoint him as a master and get his glory, because that's what he's suffering in Revenge of the Sith, then essentially Padme would be fine and she would give birth to the twins. Everything was going to be hunky-dory. But it was because of Anakin's actions and what he became that Padme in the end died. It was because of him. He feels that guilt. He knows that he is the one who killed Padme. Before jumping into the Obi-Wan finale, a couple of things I want to stress out as well. After Order 66, Vader becomes who he becomes and the Empire is formed. What does Vader do constantly in the comics, in the shows, even in the video game Vader Immortal? Throughout all those years, Vader's only mission in life is essentially bringing Padme back. He desperately tries everything he can in his power to bring Padme back. This is shown in the 2017 comic series, where he builds a castle with Momin just in order to activate the portal to this dark dimension so that he could maybe find Padme and bring her back to life. When that does not function, he then goes for the ancient artifact called the Bright Star that is said to be created by this ancient queen who ultimately destroyed Mustafar and made it this rocky desert planet that it is today. Vader wants to harness the Bright Star just in order to bring Padme back, but again, it does not work. So all these failures of bringing Padme back give Vader less and less hope of having a normal life. He just has a miserable life the entire time, and this is where we come to the finale, because I truly believe that Vader/Anakin was yelling for Obi-Wan to come back just because he wanted to be dead. He wanted to finally finish this because he couldn't live without Padme, without Obi-Wan, his friend, without the Jedi Order. He had made the greatest mistake of his life and he just couldn't go back. He wanted to die. That's why Anakin did not resurface and could not be redeemed until Luke Skywalker. It's because Vader did not see himself as going back from this. He would much prefer dying rather than atoning to what he has done. You have to remember, of course, that at that point when Vader was limping, wheezing, he could not even breathe, he had his face exposed, he had lost the duel. Obi-Wan could just finish him off, kill him right then and there without question. But Obi-Wan instead chose to let him live. And I think part of Obi-Wan knew that Vader wanted to die and he would just not give him the satisfaction of death. He would leave him to live like a miserable half-man, half-machine guy so that evil could linger inside of him for all his remaining years. And because Vader was so weak, that's what leads me to believe that he couldn't possibly think he could still fight Obi-Wan in this decrepit state. He was done for. He was just waiting for death. He desperately was calling for Obi-Wan to come back and kill him, not let him live like this, because it was just too much for Vader. But Obi-Wan is always the just one. If he killed him, not only would Obi-Wan get rid of Vader's misery and give him the satisfaction of death, but he would also tap into darkness himself, meaning Obi-Wan, that he is killing essentially a broken down, helpless enemy. And that is not the way of the Jedi. But of course, guys, let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Now you can have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.